So first off, you guys have clearly already been speaking with Larry. Larry is one of our closing managers, so he's able to obviously assist you guys in the deals that you have to close out. I don't want you to think in any way that Larry's had an extensive amount of history in this industry. Larry started out and you didn't know anything, all right? But obviously when you hear him speak, now you think that clearly he knows everything. But my point is that comes with exposure. But I'll tell you, one of the things that separate Larry that I've noticed is when I do a training like this, he's almost robotic in his approach. So he will take what I said and he'll say, repeat it one more time. And then he'll make such a sharp turn in what he does that he gets instant results. So most people, I find, they make slight turns. They don't make sharp turns. And because they do slight turns, their learning curves takes that much longer. I just kind of told you, and guys, I have data and stats to prove what it is that I'm saying here. And I'll tell you and I'll prove it and I'll show you why and the reasons behind things, but people still want to take the long way to get around. Don't make the same mistakes that I made, right? The whole purpose of these mastermind events are to learn from obviously others that have been doing this for a long time at a high level, for you guys to continue to get to what you need. Larry, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and
sure.
Phil, do you want to ask some questions while you're here?
Well, first I just want to kind of just say real quick, who does not have access to a closing manager? Okay, that's right, yeah, you. Okay. Okay. So basically, the reason why we developed these services was obviously to give everyone as much support as possible. So it's just a different level of services. So, you know, having someone like Larry or really anyone on Zach's team to help you out is going to help you close more deals. And I know, obviously, it's helped to Bob. Anyone that can say, like, instantly, wow, I saw instant results. Like, I know you've learned a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it's all about. So, you know, from your perspective, since you're, how long have you been doing this?
Almost like a year.
Almost a year.
So, what can you say in terms of, I guess, you know, what can you say, you know, for your personally,
Yes.
what were you doing before this?
So I got an extensive history.
Well, right before it.
Right before this, I was in the car industry. So I was purchasing manager for CarMax.
Okay, so from your perspective, selling a service or product compared to this, what's the difference in your mind? In terms of the ease of making money or anything? Just curious.
I think it's well, for me talking to people, first off, working as a purchasing manager, you know, working with people obviously makes this job as far as being on the phone that much easier, right? You talk to somebody over the phone. That's first. Probably the most attractive thing though is when I realized that, you know, a full week's worth of work at CarMax, I can literally do this in a day, 2 days tops. I was sold. When he showed me that, and I was like, this is real. And all I have to use is just use the skill set that I already have. I know nothing about this industry when I first started, but just using the basic knowledge that I had, that propelled me into this.
And Zach's the only person you worked with in this industry?
That's it.
Okay, so he's done everything.
That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, so basically, that's the thing. That's why, you know, it's so valuable for anyone to learn. Obviously, let him do the work for you, right? That's the idea behind this. You know, different service levels, right? Let Zach's team, let Larry do the hard work for you, and so you can build your business. Now you can always eventually take it on your own, right? Build your own team, utilize them for the long term, right? That's the whole idea. Because if you ask me, I know, you know, when you, let me ask you this question. Because you obviously came under his umbrella, and you had that, you know, training and everything, do you think that you would have the same success if you were at home doing this all by yourself, trying to figure it out from beginning to end?
On my own?
Yeah, generate your own leads, figure it all out, create access to lenders, all by yourself.
That's a serious question?
Yeah.
No way. No, I mean, there's just too much. There's too many moving parts in this.
Okay.
Listen. First off, and not for nothing, Zach. I'm sorry to say this, but listen, closing training itself, it's tough. It's not, the origination portion is tough at the beginning because look, it's a brand new product. You're trying to learn how to speak to someone, understanding what the product is. That's one part, right? Just understanding the product. But, to your point, the closing portion, that's a completely different psyche that you have to understand, right? Without his help, I would never get to this point. I wouldn't even know how to speak to someone. And again, this is coming from someone who spoke to people every single day in business. How to purchase a car, or how to go about this, about that, related to the car world. So, and I've said to pretty much everybody who's been on the phone with me, look, you can buy tons of leads, you can buy, in any business, right? But if you don't know how to execute, you're basically tossing your money in the trash. Knowledge is first thing, right? You can go ahead and buy all the leads that you want to buy, doesn't matter. But if you don't know what an actual deal looks like and why it's actually a deal that could get approved, then how are you going to close the deal out? How am I going to close the deal out if you don't even know what you're giving me, right? So, yeah.
So I know we started doing the closing manager, 2 months ago? Now, what can you say, and like take someone like Conrad, or anybody that you can think of off the top of your head, from before working with them to after working with them? Like, what was the difference in their success, or just their even confidence boost, whatever it is?
Sure. Well, I can actually use Conrad because Conrad and I have worked extensively at this point. And I think from day one, from his first submission over to how that looked, and every time something and you can speak on this, every time that something's been declined, I'm not just telling him, hey, the deal's declined. I'm telling him, hey, it's declined because of this and this and this, right? You need to, moving forward, you need to look out for these different things. And of course, he makes the adjustment, and the deals get better and better and better, right? Before, I look at it real quick, before I even say anything exact, like, disqualified. Now, we're actually putting it through. Does it end up getting approved? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, because of different factors, right? But ultimately, though, every time that I'm giving him some feedback, he's taking it and running with it. So yeah, again, back to the knowledge portion. The more knowledge I'm giving him or anybody in the room, the better your success rate's going to be. That's it.
So I could just say real quick, just working with him for what, 2 or 3 weeks?
I don't even think we've been talking
We've
for like
been
2
on the
weeks.
phone a few times, and it's a huge difference. And just like I said, when I have the doctors on the phone and you disqualify right away. I had statements, and I thought it was good, ready to go. Within a matter of 10 seconds, speaking to Larry, I was able to look at the statements and say, here's problem number 1. It was when it was not a business checking account.
Right.
I came in, screenshot. And so then right away, they said, this is what you have to look for, this is what you have to do, and I implemented it immediately, and it came again. So in my next phone call, I changed it up, and I know, make sure it's a business checking account. So a huge help out of Larry, and it's a security blanket, and just adds extra confidence when you know you have Larry or Zach or anybody in the team to help you out. It's been a huge, huge help.
Something I realized also from Larry that really helped me out, just learning how to even look at the bank statements. Because I had 2 applications that came in, they're like 40, 50K a month. I'm like, this is a jackpot, okay, let's try and make this work. And Larry was like, hey, this would be a good application, but you need to look at the details of the application. It's like, if you look at this, first of the month, they have a 38K deposit. It came from their personal account. That doesn't count as a real deposit. Or this one was 20K from an SBA. That doesn't count as a real deposit. So it drops down their actual deposit. It drops down their,
Yeah, right.
And that sort of knowledge is something that, if you did have a closing manager, let's say, and you're submitting deals and you're wondering, damn, nothing is sticking. You have no idea why, because you're not getting the knowledge behind the why, right? So that's important.
Well, I'll also say when I first started, I obviously started this industry by myself, so it took me some time, and I'm borderline workaholic. So I put in.
No, not borderline.
So I put in honestly, I went like an excessive amount of hours trying to learn this. So my excessive amount of hours in 90 days might take somebody, in all honesty, a year to gain that same amount of knowledge. And man, it was so difficult sometimes to understand the whys behind certain things because I was by myself. So sometimes I would randomly find myself just like calling the underwriter and saying, hey man, can I just ask you to just break this down for me real quick? Because I don't understand. And sometimes they'll be like, man, we don't have time for that. You know what I mean? I was a nobody, we don't have time for that. Or it'll be like, look, the statements just weren't good. And I'm like, that's great. This is great advice. Thanks. And I literally had to learn, like my sales algorithm, these things. I learned all of these things by declines. That's how I learned. But I don't want you to learn that way. It's borderline demoralizing. In a way, there's no reason to learn that way. All right? If you obviously understand our process, work with us, ask us, along the way, we're gonna make that shift and obviously make the adjustment when we say, hey, look at it this way, do it this way. You know what I mean? Also, you get to kind of understand our heartbeat, because we're always focusing on things that are getting funded right now. So if you're kind of in that zone by yourself, and you're kind of, you're connected, but you're disconnected from the industry, you don't know when the industry shifts. We're obviously a volume-based company, so we submit and we know what's being approved. For instance, like when micro deals were going out, things like that, we could tell very quickly. One of the people were still marketing on micro stuff, and we were like, nah, we stopped.
Yeah.
We stopped doing that. We completely shifted. And these are other things. So you can sit there, you could be marketing, be working on applications, and all of a sudden you have 10 deals, and none of them had ever a shot of getting done, because you weren't on the heartbeat of the industry, which is another insight of it. So all these many things, man. And I gotta tell you, Phil is pretty genius at kind of creating environments that help people become successful quicker, because even myself, I necessarily think about those intricacies along the way, but it's true, man. If I really had that when I started, I'm thinking to myself, man, how much more of a beast could I have been right out the gate? Because I had to learn kind of the real hard way. But there's no reason. This is why this community, this mastermind community, everything that we put in place works. And it doesn't work based on hypothetical things. This is all practical. It works based on us doing it every single day. And at the end of the day, this all is better when everybody's successful. There's a saying. The saying is, it's lonely at the top. It's always better when somebody else can pick up the tab. Well, I'll pay for lunch tomorrow. You know what I mean? Brett, buy the next Lambo. It's always better when it's a successful community. Pick up the payments. It's always better. Life is just better when it's a successful community. Think about that for a second. Imagine 1 year from now, all of us come back in this very same room. We're like, hey man, remember when Conrad did his first role play and froze up like a little Beatrice? And then, you know what I mean? Now he's on his second house and he's actually using his real estate knowledge to now start doing some investing. Those things, that's a different type of feeling, man. When you do this and you're like, man, hey, remember when? It's pretty awesome, and that's kind of one of the big pluses with all of this. Just, it helps everyone get there faster. And that's pretty amazing.
I keep telling you guys, I've done different kinds of programs. Like, I did one with it was a Kevin Harrington. No, I'm not Kevin Harrington. Sorry, the David John Success Formula. Paid almost like $10,000 for that. You get me? This was when I was like 23. Didn't really have money. I put it all on a credit card. It was a huge sales funnel. Got sucked into it. I've done a bunch of different Forex trader courses, different thousands of different courses on how to do a business, how to open a business, run a business, and all it took for me to sign up for Phil's was to make $8 on that. Literally, I've done all those other businesses and didn't really make any immediate return from applying what they taught me. It was always slow. After 6 months, after a while, maybe that's obviously up to the way I apply it also, but the way Phil did it is like, I literally had I was telling somebody earlier, I had a second monitor here with Phil's videos, I had my computer here, I'm literally just copying word for word what he's telling me on the video. First day, I made $8 from someone that wasn't my mom, my dad, or my sister. No, because I made them sign up, so I was like, Dad, Mom, sign up for this right now. My sister, sign up for this right now.
It's great to be able to put energy into something.
Yeah.
and get that ROI back, right? It's good to, nobody likes to waste their time, right?
Exactly.
Nobody likes to put energy into something and not get something back for that time. I hate it. If I'm gonna put my energy or money into something, I better be getting something back for it, right? So that's the whole goal of this mastermind, right? That you guys obviously implement what we're saying, proven techniques that we know that I use every single day, so that you don't have to sit there and waste your time like he had to do when he first started, right? I don't want to be in his shoes. I don't remember. I would have gave up. I said, forget that. I ain't doing that. So to your point, had I not had the training he was giving me, I'd probably still be there spinning my wheels trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah.
So everybody needs a guide, one way or another, especially if you're trying to be successful.
Yeah, when I first started doing these types of services, I learned real quick that people give up very quickly if they don't have that instant success. So now that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Since 2017 to early this year, I basically just sold courses. Go do it yourself. Here you go. Figure it out. Kind of took a hands-off approach. Now, because I didn't have the team to do it, but I knew Zach did, so I call him and say, hey, you like doing a lot of work?
Well, for like, our program doesn't give, for me, it wasn't about the instant success, it was about the instant validation.
Okay.
You get me? It's like I'm not expecting to make $1 million in a month.
But you're just
But like I said, that
It
$8
work.
is what validated to me, like,
Right.
this shit is gonna work.
And that's the thing, that's why we try to get straight to the point as fast as possible. So going back to however long it took you to figure it all out, in April/May of 14 to really December of 14, that's how long it took me to figure out the lead gen business. And then you took exactly what I learned in all that time to figure it out, and all the time up until now, and then you just flipped it around in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole point, So you just do something that actually works, and as long as you implement, that's the thing. Like I've set up here a lot of events, Zoom calls, whatever, all this stuff, and how many people do nothing? They put the effort and time into it to get the knowledge, but then they literally go home and do nothing.
Don't apply it.
Yeah, it's amazing, or they don't do enough, whatever it is. And, just very few people do it, but it's so funny how many people, like even John, you said on, when we interviewed you, you said, hey, I was listening to you and I did exactly what you said, and it worked. And Zach was like, hold on a second. So you actually listened to us, and actually did it, and it worked? Holy shit.
Well, like I told you,
Amazing.
like I told you on the interview, when I joined, the first 3 days it was $1, right?
Yeah.
So those first 3 days, me and my wife, we almost didn't sleep. Me and my wife, we hammered it.
I'm gonna get everything out of this.
Yeah, we hammered it real hard. Looking what we had to do. We did websites. We did the whole thing in 3 days. On the fourth day, we had to pay the $97, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we paid it because I said, no, this is worth it because after all this that I've done. So then on the fourth day, we started thinking, okay, so how are we going to get the leads? How are we going to start? So what we started doing was, we weren't too savvy on Facebook. My wife does all the marketing. She takes out the whole thing on the marketing part. So she started, going through websites, Googling, asking questions, going crazy here and there, and to learn how to do the website. I kept bothering you, how am I going to do a landing page? Well, how am I doing a landing page? She figured out how to do the landing page, so she did the landing page, and we put it in Facebook. The first couple of weeks, we already started with $10. We actually lost money. After the third week is when I started playing inside of, I went into Facebook, but I would go into other people's groups.
Okay.
So what I did was, I did a message thing, I just thought I'll drop this off here, if you're looking for this and that alone. And I started just tagging and putting it all over the place. I started getting insults, people saying, oh, why you on my Facebook and this and that. That's how I got my first customer. From that, that's the one I got the pharmacy in California, which was $300,000 and ended up to be $500,000 that we lost it.
Right.
I think it was Zach's fault because Zach didn't show me how. But after I got that deal, that was a $24,000. Got that in 3 days.
Right.
Everything we just started hammering. I started getting agents, and we bloomed from there. You know, we're having little problems with Facebook on the leads.
Yeah.
You know, that's about, but other than that, we're just getting the agents that are sending us leads. Not leads, I'm sorry, they're sending us customers. And a lot of those merchants, some of them no good, you know. Like I told you, I had 2 investors drop me. You know. So I'm thinking that just probably send to Zach, have him tell me this is garbage deal, you need to fix this and this and this and this and this.
Should have been doing it already, Papo.
So I'm thinking, you know, so, because I don't, like you're saying, it's very discouraging when you have people under you and you get them hyped up and all of a sudden they're putting in 2, 3 leads and then everything started decline, they get discouraged. And that's not good.
Yeah, so one thing you said on an interview was you made $24,000 on your first deal, right? But there was more money to be made, but you didn't make it because you just didn't have the knowledge or know-how.
You didn't follow up.
to do it.
Exactly.
So if they were working your deal
So he
for
did
you,
a first position, and he was, I think, on like 8% rebate, so he didn't know he could go up
Oh,
to
you
like
go for more. Oh.
So see how quickly we know that already, so it's
It was a
like,
$500,000.
so he probably lost out on 2 more
$500,000.
positions.
It was a $500,000 deal. And the second position was sold to another company.
Because he didn't know he could do the second
Or
position.
he got it somewhere else.
Knowledge, you see?
yeah,
Knowledge.
That cost me $14,000, that knowledge.
alright.
Alright, but now you know.
Oh, of course.
Now you know you ain't gonna let that slip through your fingers again.
No.
Alright. It's good to hear success stories either way. It shows that this is real.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and I know with Facebook when you started, I mean, you just doing Facebook on your own, right? You didn't get Facebook stuff from me, right?
Nothing.
Right, you were
nothing.
trying to figure it all on your own?
Yeah, my wife is
Yeah, yeah.
doing all that stuff on her own, studying, going through everything,
Yeah.
trying to see how to get better. We actually also did Google. We did Google, and Google's more expensive than Facebook.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's
And it doesn't happen. I mean, there you really gotta spend some more
Yeah.
money so you can be up at the top. And the last thing we were gonna do is that we were gonna go ahead, before coming over here, hire this company, a social media company, so they can do all my social media for me and for all my agents. We're gonna try to work out a deal where they can do something like that. But I just thought, you know what, let's just take a chance, let's just go to Phil's.
Yeah, you have to control your own marketing in this, you know, or at least understand it.
Exactly.
So instead of telling someone else to go figure it out, you need to tell them what to do. Like I learned it all myself, and then I have people run ads for me, but I tell them what to do, not, hey, go figure this out for me. Because I just need the more manpower.
Exactly.
I'm not looking for someone that understands what to do. You know, it's actually cheaper that way too. Figure it out
Yes,
yourself and just
100%.
pay someone to do the work. But anyway, all right, cool. So, you want to just take a quick 5-minute break?